The Quran is amazing. One of the things that is always good to keep in mind, that the Quran is timeless. It's what? Timeless. Meaning that it does not change, it doesn't get old. If you take any writer, any author, someone who's famous, you take their works from their young age, when they were young, when they started writing, and then the last works of theirs, and you compare the two, you will see a huge difference in the way how they write. But subhanAllah, the Quran, from Alif Lam Mim to An-Nas, you don't see that fluctuation. Every time it's like new, new. It's because it's timeless. It speaks to every individual, it speaks to every time, and it speaks to every situation. And that's one of the miracles of the Quran, because it's a word of God. And God is what? Allah is eternal. He's eternal. He doesn't exist in any time. He's free from time. And likewise his words. So the book of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is timeless. So I just want to reflect on two verses perhaps from Surah An-Nur, where Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala talks about people who struggle in every single time, in every single century, in every decade, in every year, and every day. Right? And it's something that relates to all of us. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says that there are people, rijalun, it's Surah An-Nur. Inshallah, someone can look up the verse number and tell me. رِجَالٌ لَا تُلْهِيهِمْ تِجَارَةٌ وَلَا بَيْعٌ عَنْ ذِكْرِ اللَّهِ. The people are the people, those real people, real men. And an extension for women as well. Men are those لَا تُلْهِيهِمْ تِجَارَةٌ. That business, any type of business, job, work, anything related to your earning, making money, whether it's a job, your own business. تجارة لا تلهيهم تجارة ولا بيع. And specifically when you are actively involved in commerce, in buying and selling, because you are active in that. Right? You have a shop, you're sitting there, there's customers, no customers, right? But active, when you're active, when you are doing something, even while you're active, subhanAllah, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala talks about the passive and the active part. لا تجارة ولا بيع. Although tijara is business, there's buying and selling, but specifically Allah mentions after that, ولا بيع. And even when they're actively working, لا تلهيهم. From what? It doesn't take them away from عن ذكر الله. Number one, the remembrance of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Right? And إقام الصلاة. And establishing prayer. إيتاء الزكاة. And giving charity. Everything is, mashallah, you can relate it in the month of Ramadan, subhanallah. The remembrance of Allah, establishing prayer, and giving charity. And then what? They're always looking to the hereafter, the next life. They know that this is temporary, and I have to do what I have to do to live in this world, to make an earning, to make a living. But my final destination that I'm focused on, that I'm looking in that windshield, is my next life. يَخَافُونَ يَوْمًا تَتَقَلَّبُ فِيهِ الْقُلُوبُ وَالْأَبْصَارُ. Where on the day that the hearts and the eyes will turn upside down out of fear. لِيَجْزِيَهُمُ اللَّهُ أَحْسَنَ مَا عَمِلُوا. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala on that day, He will what? Reward them for the good that they have done. And then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala didn't stop with that. In general, that's general, right? Everything good that they did. That includes, right, the good that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala wants to replace that with rizq. And that specifically Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, وَيَزِيدَهُم مِّن فَضْلِهِ. And Allah will give them even more from His own generosity. Now some of the scholars say that يَزِيدَهُم مِّن فَضْلِهِ, this last part is related to bay' and tijara. That Allah will give from His own fadl. That if someone sacrifices the worldly things, especially when you are at work, when you're at school, when you have this client that you have to meet, but you have to go for Jum'ah Salah because that's fard. You cannot miss out on Jum'ah because you have to meet a client. And what do? You leave that bay'ah. What will happen? يزيدهم من فضله. Allah will give from His own fadl. And fadl, a lot of times is it's indicated to rizq, sustenance, right? That's why when we enter the masjid, we say, Allahumma inni as'aluka min fadlik. And we exit the masjid, we also say, Allahumma inni as'aluka min fadlik. Right? We ask from Allah's fadl. Specifically when you leave the masjid, because you came to worship Allah, and now you're leaving with something that Allah has promised. وَيَزِيدُهُمْ مِنْ فَضْلِهِ. That Allah is going to give from His own generosity. And don't be afraid. Sometimes you will be challenged. But be of those who are, as Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala describes, as men. Be a man. Be a person, an upright person who's willing to sacrifice, willing to give up somewhat of their own comfort for the sake of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And Allah is definitely going to reward you and also provide you as well. Barakallahu feekum.